Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochatal. The nation has been awash with a debate on whether one needs to work 90 hours a week, 70 hours a week, or just do the normal 8 hours per day work shift. The debate was set off by L&T boss Mr. Subramaniam, who in an internal address to his employees asked them this pertinent question: what do you do on a Sunday? Do you keep looking at your wife all day? Why don't you come to work? Well, he must have said that in a jest, or I don't know whether he said it seriously, but what was said and done, it set off a kind of storm across the nation. Everybody had an opinion about it. People felt that if they could get the salary that L&T boss was getting, they would also work 90 hours a day. Of course, we all know that doesn't happen that way. Countries like United States, most of Europe, and to a large extent the developed countries, if you can call them that way, work shorter hours in every week. On the other hand, there are countries like China and Japan where workers work long hours to make up for what they rightfully claim is their share in the industrialized world. We in India are stuck somewhere in between. We have industries where people work for long hours, especially in the manufacturing sector, and even private security guard and the hospitality sector, which is the hotel sector, where I know for sure because I used to do 18-hour shifts, double shift as they call it, when I was very young. Media is no better. Media also does not have timings. It all depends on when a news breaks and when a news ends. But the question that we are asking right now is, why should you work for 90 hours a week? The question obviously comes up is, more needs to be done. More work is there. But we all know that a human body can take only as much as 8 to 9 hours of work, and after that, the efficiency starts dipping. Well, there might be some supercharged individuals who can still maintain their adrenaline pumping even after 12 hours. But my point of view is very simple, and I always believed in this. It's not the number of hours that you work that is important. It is what you do in those 9 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours of work, which Mr. Subramaniam feels should be extended to 18 hours a day. The human body needs rest, and without rest, a lot of things can go wrong, which is why you see that pilots have a strict 8-hour duty, and after that, they don't fly anymore. As simple as that. There are many other industries which are very, very crucial and critical where we cannot afford slip-ups. But then there are industries, where, as I said before, manufacturing, maybe construction sector, where employees tend to work for longer hours to finish the job assigned to them. Then there is a famous IT sector in India where there are no timings. Call centers have their own timings, but developers or others work in teams, work along with their clients in different time zones, and that is why they hardly get any sleep. The problem is very simple, and I believe in this, that it is the quality that matters, not the quantity. It is what you do in a day, the productivity of it is in question. If your productivity can be secured by working just for 5 hours, that is great. If it can be done by 8 hours or 9 hours of work, that is ideal. But the problem is, if the productivity even after 12 or 14 hours of work is same as what another individual would do in 6 to 7 hours, then something is wrong with you. And the organization needs to look at that. It is at the end of the day, the production, the top line, and of course, later on, the bottom line. We should ensure, and as youngsters, I can tell them, as when we are youngsters rather, a lot of us used to work long hours. And as I said, I was initially in the hotel industry and then in the media industry for long now. We used to work for long hours, but as we grow older, and as you reach like me, at 62, you tend to kind of slow down a bit. I haven't, but still I would love to slow down. The question is very simple. What set up the 90-hour debates was a series of memes. We saw that memes which went across the country. We saw cartoons flying thick and fast, debates, and then referring back to Mr. Narayan Murthy's famous 70-hour a week appeal that he had made to his employees. Or rather, he said they should work 70 hours. Well, it's a different thing that the same Mr. Narayan Murthy had, when I remember a couple of decades ago, said that he would switch off the lights at Infosys campus at 6 in the evening so that employees would go home. There is often this utopian concept called work-life balance. where it's a great terminology, but hardly anybody follows it. What is work-life balance? It is a time that you allow your body to get recharged after you work so that you are refreshed for the next day. It doesn't mean that you go and sit or you go and watch TV or whatever it is, but there needs to be a balance between what you do at workplace and what you do apart from the workplace. And that is important, ladies and gentlemen, because the 90-hour debate is not the question. Of course, I've seen a lot of columns in newspapers over the last 2 days saying why we should work for a longer hours so that we can catch up with where China is today. Well, it's a different debate altogether. China and India almost have the same population. In fact, we are ahead of them. But that doesn't mean that we need to work as long hours as China does. We all have been talking about how machines are taking over from the human beings, how AI is going to disrupt the entire thing. People won't be needed after some years. These are all questions that are coming up. So the question is, when you give a job to an employee to finish, when you give him an assignment or her an assignment, how much time does it take? Does it take 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours? We saw this famous case unfortunate case of a young lady, a chartered accountant, who passed away at a very young age in the Ernst & Young, or EY as they call it, in their office in Pune. She, according to the communication that she was having with her parents, was very clear that she was under tremendous stress from her managers who were giving her work after work after work. She didn't have time to eat, she didn't have time to sleep, and finally, at a young age, she passed away. In fact, that death earlier actually set off again a big debate, and EY was very quick to react, saying that they will not compromise on the work-life balance and they would speak to their managers and ensure that their employees are not under stress. But these are all organized industries. There are unorganized industries, as I spoke about earlier. Security guards, for example, private security guards. They do a minimum of 12 hours a day. Well, you might say that, okay, they sit in one place, they don't do much of work. That's fine, but why should they work for 12 hours? How much do they get paid for those 12 hours? How much, for example, the hotel industry, double shifts. They do get an off, compensatory off that I know of, but double shifts are a norm. 12 hours is a norm. 8 hours, if somebody wants to go back after 8 hours, the manager looks at them as if, what's kind of happening with you? This is important because, again, let us not get into a debate about 90 hours versus, say 60 hours a week. The question again is productivity. What is it that you do in that time? What is your output? That is more important. So if Japan had this counterclaim saying that one shift produces 200 cars, the next shift would go out of the way and produce 210, and the next shift after that would go for 220. But there's no end to this. Somewhere there will be a breakdown of people, of machines, or something else. So this debate about the L&T boss's comments, which were again kind of taken down by his team, saying that it's not really what he meant, he has been taken out of context. Well, he has said what he said, but it's good that it set off a debate within the Indian society, because for many people, especially when they're young, when they want to get promoted, they have this badge of honor to say that I worked today for 18 hours, I worked for 16 hours. Some even put up a social media post for that, take selfies. But then after some time, your body starts giving away. And we see that in numerous places, people going to gyms and collapsing and dying at a very young age. Many CEOs, many mid-lung managers passing away. That is what the human body is, a wonderful machine. But then, like any other machine, it needs time to switch off, recharge, and come back into action again. If it keeps going on and on and on, well, like the famous Charlie Chaplin movies that we saw, we will some point, that kind of machine work will stop. And that is where the entire problem will arise. That we need to ensure that our employees are relaxed, they do good work, their output should be measured by what they do and not how many hours they spend at the workplace. This is, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear your comments in this. Please subscribe, like, and of course comment about this video, and it would be wonderful to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.